Boy oh boy, we have some big news in college football as the Arch Manning Texas era will likely start this upcoming Saturday. Scratch that, it's not likely, it's happening. Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian just said today in his press conference that Arch Manning will start this upcoming Saturday against an undefeated UL Monroe team. Just because the Warhawks are undefeated does not mean this game will at all be interesting though. But everybody's eyes will be on Arch Manning. He obviously comes from elite Hall of Fame football bloodlines, and people have been watching this guy for years. Honestly, sandwiched between him and Trevor Lawrence, the most hyped quarterback to come out of high school was Quinn Ewers, and he's the guy that Manning will replace this upcoming Saturday. Ewers ended up suffering that injury against UTSA, and after a lot of question marks all week, we have now found out that Ewers will not play this upcoming Saturday, and Manning will take his spot. Manning did tremendous against UTSA when he filled in, and now he gets a chance to start the Arch Manning era off on a great note. Some people are saying this reminds them of the Kelly Bryant-Trevor Lawrence situation. Honestly, comparing Quinn Ewers to Kelly Bryant is a war crime in my eyes, as yes, Trevor Lawrence was ready to come in and was elite, but Kelly Bryant was by no means some elite NFL superstar. Quinn Ewers is a projected first-round pick and led Texas to the playoff and an undefeated start so far. Him and Kelly Bryant are not the same. In today's video, I want to talk about this news, give my reaction, and honestly talk about how I think Arch will do this weekend. We'll also hear some of the quotes from today's press conference and talk about the situation. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, this is definitely the channel for you, so be sure to take a quick moment to subscribe, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about the new era in Texas with Arch Manning at the helm. So yeah, Arch Manning put up ridiculous numbers while he was in high school, and obviously he comes from an elite NFL bloodline. Manning has been talked about as the next great thing for years now, and honestly, I have to be upfront with you guys. I've been saying for years that I thought Arch Manning was overrated, and honestly, I like to have humility and I like to admit when I'm wrong, and I think I am going to be wrong about this one. I'd always joke with my friends that if his name was Arch Smith that he'd only be a 3-star recruit, but so far it looks like Arch Manning actually is really good and will end up being an elite quarterback for the Longhorns. I admit it, I was wrong on that one. But who cares about my opinion? He was the #1 player in the country, and last week against UTSA, he had a dominating performance. Texas won in a landslide. UTSA is typically a solid program the last few years under Jeff Traylor, but the Longhorns made them look silly even with a backup quarterback like Arch. He wasn't prepared to start, so I'm going to predict a major landslide victory over UL Monroe. And speaking of placing bets on teams to win, go over and check out the sponsor of today's video, MyBookie. It is that time of the year as winning season is back, football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you are ready to cash in on all the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions like a weekly risk-free boost on Thursdays where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. But that's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super, Survivor, and Square contests. Get your entries now in for your shot at huge cash rewards. When you're ready to get started, be sure to use my promo code FISHER50 and make sure to get some extra cash on top of your first deposit. Okay, but what do you get when you use my promo code? Well, if you type in Fisher50, you'll get up to $1,000 in a welcome bonus bet, plus a $10 casino chip. MyBookie's tiered bonuses make it easy to deposit with crypto or with credit, and the bigger your deposit, the bigger your bonus. The bonus would be 100% match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. As of now, loyalty plays off with MyBookie Plus. The more you play, the more you win. It's simple. Climb through the tiers of loyalty rewards programs to unlock even more epic promotions, exclusive giveaways, and bigger rewards. With MyBookie, you can bet on anything, anywhere, at any time, and make your season a winning season. Be sure to check out my link down below and use my promo code FISHER50. That is FISHER50. Once again, I appreciate them for sponsoring today's video, and we need a little bit more backstory on both Arch and the situation. So Quinn Ewers was obviously the #1 recruit in his class at one point, and after committing to Texas, he flipped to Ohio State and enrolled early. After 1 year at the Buckeyes, he transferred to Texas in 2022, starting multiple games and having a solid season. Unfortunately, over the next 2 years, he would deal with some injuries, and last year he missed a couple of games, but ultimately would lead Texas to the college football playoff, where they fell short against Washington. Instead of going off to the NFL, Ewers would decide to come back for one more season and hopefully win a national championship for Texas, just like everyone coming out of high school thought he could do. Quinn was off to a solid start in 2024 as he was completing 73.4% of his passes, had thrown for 691 yards and 8 touchdowns, and only had 2 interceptions. He also had a marvelous game on the road against Michigan, and while Michigan is not the same team they were the last 2 or 3 years, it's still a really solid win, and to do that on the road was very eye-opening. He was playing his way into potentially being a top 10 pick, but of course, he ended up getting hurt this past weekend against UTSA. What exactly was the injury? Well, Sarkisian said it was a non-contact injury and an oblique strain. I guess it was somewhat of a mystery injury, and it looked like he was questionable all week, but today we found out that he is not going to be playing, and now we turn the ball over to Arch Manning. Arch Manning was hyped up before he even got to high school, but he eventually became a freshman All-American and was also named to the Max Preps All-American sophomore team as well. By the end of his time at Isidore Newman High School in Louisiana, Manning had become one of the greatest high school quarterbacks ever in some people's eyes. He ended up being named the #1 recruit in the country, and during his 4-year career, he went 34-9, had 8,599 passing yards, 115 touchdowns, and just 20 interceptions. He completed 64% of his passes, ran for 1,200 yards, ran for 25 touchdowns, and also had multiple school records. He had nearly 10,000 total yards and 140 scores, and he broke the school record for passing yards and passing touchdowns, which were held by his uncles Eli and Peyton. Eli had 7,268, and Peyton had 93 touchdowns. He ended up being wanted by every single school in the country, but ultimately he decided to pick Texas and head coach Steve Sarkisian. He was the #1 player in the country and the #1 quarterback in the country, and would arrive at Texas with a ridiculous amount of hype. As a freshman, he would end up appearing in 2 games and made his debut in a victory over Texas Tech, going 2 of 5 for 30 yards. He also took a couple snaps in the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma State. While there were some people who said there was a quarterback battle this upcoming summer, I was saying to myself, really, there's just no way. It wasn't going to happen. Quinn Ewers was the guy. But still, though, the hype for Arch Manning was starting to get pretty insane. He appeared in their season opener against Colorado State, completing 5 of 6 passes for 95 yards and a touchdown, and he accounted for 2 total touchdowns on the day. He did not end up playing in Week 2 against Michigan, as Ewers led them to a big victory over the Wolverines, but then this past weekend, he came in for UTSA. Ewers would complete 9 of 12 passes for 223 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had 5 total scores, including a 67-yard rushing touchdown. He became the 5th SEC freshman quarterback in the last 15 years to have a 65-plus yard touchdown, joining Lenora Sellers, Anthony Richardson, Malik Willis, and Johnny Manziel. What a weird list. His 67-yard touchdown run was the longest ever by a Texas freshman, and the stats he had kind of put him in the same territory as Colt McCoy and Vince Young. So now here we are. He's the starting quarterback. Head coach Steve Sarkisian said today, quote, "Quinn has made great strides since Saturday night, but my decision is I'm looking forward to his future as a player and also the future of the season for us, and getting him possibly 1 more week healthier for the long term I think is good for us as we get ready for SEC play." As I said, Arch had a huge game, so I think he's already sort of gotten the jitters out of him and should be ready to go against Hewlett Monroe. Yes, the Warhawks are undefeated, but that really doesn't mean much as they're only 2-0, and they're not going to have any chance, and there's no chance they win this game. If somehow the Warhawks pulled this off in Arch Manning's debut, I think the world would set on fire. But Arch has been ready for this moment. Sarkisian said he always prepared as if he could start, but now he'll have to game plan for him, and he'll have to do the opening series rather than be throwing into the fire. Sark said, quote, "Arch is more than capable, I think, as we all know. I mean, you go out and you have 5 touchdowns coming off the bench. You've already proven you can play. Now it's about executing the plan, doing it with confidence, and fixing some of the issues on the field when they arise." Sarkisian said that Ewers will also be there to help Manning if any of those issues arise, as he said, quote, "Quinn will obviously have an earpiece in, and he'll hear every play call. Without question, his support of Arch is critical, and I don't foresee anything different than that." So yeah, Arch Manning is starting this upcoming Saturday, and now let's get to the elephant in the room. What if Arch puts up 5 touchdowns or has crazy numbers again? Will there be a quarterback battle? Honestly, I really don't know. As much as I want to say no, Sarkisian just wants to win a national championship, and whoever gives him the best opportunity to do that, he will play. What does it mean for Quinn Ewers? Well, Sark said, quote, "All the goals that Ewers had and we've had from coming into the season are still there for him. I think we have a national championship caliber team, and he's the quarterback of that team. And I think we'll still have that in front of us to go do that. This guy is going to be in New York for the Heisman, and I think he already has the ability to be a top 5 NFL draft pick." Yeah, he also said that Ewers resting a week doesn't change anything, but again, I really don't know. I think there's a small chance that if Arch continues the ball out, there's going to be a little bit of controversy. Obviously, I think Ewers is an extremely talented player, but if he comes back rusty from the injury or doesn't play that well, the crowd and the general media storm is going to want Arch to play, especially if he does ball out against UL Monroe this weekend. Ultimately, I think what will happen is Arch will put up 3 or 4 touchdowns, have a really solid game, and then Ewers will return and end up leading them to the college football playoff. That is my logical opinion, though. What also could happen is Arch puts up 7 touchdowns this weekend, Quinn Ewers comes back and throws 2 picks and doesn't do anything against Mississippi State, and then all of a sudden Manning takes over and leads them to the playoff, and the whole world goes on fire. That I don't really know, though. But what do you guys think? If you're a Texas fan, what do you think of the Arch Manning situation? Do you think he has a chance at becoming the starter? And what other topic or video should I do next? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all of the videos in the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.